Hey, what's up everyone? Ultimate Atomic HD here, and today on Deck Spotlight, I'm bringing you an updated, as you can see, look at the Fortune Lady deck that I did some time back, and that video actually received very positive reviews and is genuinely very much loved by the community and has a lot of views. So thank you again for your support on this video. And yeah, excuse the recording setup. I have a lot of new hardware and I'm still getting used to it, so excuse if my voice sounds kind of unusual because I'm sitting in a very awkward position with my microphone, and yeah, I'm still getting the ins and outs of you recording in this way ironed out. So anyway, I'm not here to bore you with the specifics. I'm here to give you an updated deck profile, which I promised in my earlier video. And yeah, it's not that much different in terms of functionality, but few crucial changes I've made since the last ban list, and I think the deck has become somewhat faster and it can push for game a lot more consistently than it did before. So without further ado, let's get right into it. So as you saw from the very first monster on the top of the deck, you will be running again, of course, 3 copies of Fortune Lady Past. This is practically your only tuner, one of the only tuners, and in the vacuum of its own archetype, it does essentially everything. So yeah, you run 3 of these at all times, especially nowadays. And yeah, in combination, of course, with again 3 Fortune Lady Lights. Once again, it's a 3-off, and then the last bit of Fortune Lady representation in monster lineup, we have 1 Fortune Lady Fire and 2 Fortune Lady Waters for that ever so important draw power, and of course 2 Fortune Fairy Hikaris for archetypal extension. So yeah, that's it when it comes to the monster lineup of pure Fortune Ladies. Of course, I have the brand new Farah sleeves. I absolutely love them to death. Managed to get them at an auction for a more reasonable price. I'm really glad I did. Now for the other cards that'll be present in your Fortune Lady deck, we have the Danger Engine, consisting of 1 Jackalope, 1 Tsuchinoko, and 2 Nessies. Yeah, you can technically play 3 Nessies at this point in time because the ban list has been kind to it, but I still preferred this ratio because I honestly don't think that more than 3 Nessies is necessary here. Get it? Nessie? Necessary? Humor? Anyway, the other monsters I want to bring attention to is your essentially interruptions, Kurikara Div Incarnate, and Nibiru. These are very important, like they were previously. Back in the first deck profile, I didn't have Kurikara, and I said I was planning on getting it, and yeah, here she is. These 2 are, again, very important and can counter a lot of stuff, so that's why you essentially run them. Then we have some other extenders, first of which is Blackwing Steam the Cloak and Kashtira Fenrir. And yeah, very obvious why you run these. This one also doubles as interruption. This one floats into a token upon leaving the field, and it can revive itself from the graveyard by attributing a monster, which is a once per duel effect, but again, it can help out with extension. And this gives you some insight in what one of the extra deck monsters for this deck is going to be. Last 2 monsters, we have the 2 normal Garnets, Dark Magician and Red Eyes Black Dragon, for obvious reasons. Again, the extra deck tells it all. And that does it for the monster lineup. Now we move on to the spell and traps. We have the duo of 2 Future Visions, the Archetypes Field Spell. Again, it can proc Fortune Lady Light and can be also used as a stun option for the opponent. And of course, a Terraforming, the 1 copy of Terraforming you can play to search it because it's somewhat important still in the deck. Then we have 2 Fortune's Future for some more draw power. And the archetypal draw power is just insane here, and I can't stress that enough. Then we have 3 Fortune Lady Callings, which is a must run in the deck, as well as 3 copies of Fortune Vision, the archetypal searching. And yeah, that does it for the archetypal spell cards. When it comes to the deck profile, there's one more card, which is a trap card, which we'll be mentioning soon. Then for the other non-archetypal stuff, we have 1 copy of Forbidden Droplet, 1 Monster Reborn, 1 Red Ice Fusion, 1 Lightning Storm, 1 Dark Ruler No More, and 1 1-for-1. Because yeah, these 2 are revival and extension, and this is the one of the more important cards to go into one of the most important boss monsters for the deck. And the rest is simple interruption, which all decks practically need. And the last 2 cards are the traps. The first one being the archetypal Fortune Lady Rewind. Yeah, archetypal return from a different dimension. You only need 1 basically, since it's highly searchable, and you won't be able to produce that much advantage by banishing a whole lot, even with triple Fortune Lady Pass. And that's why you only run 1 of them. And the last card you run in the main deck is 1 copy of Evenly Matched. And yeah, pretty obvious why you do. And that's pretty much it for the main deck. Now let's move on to the extra deck. And in terms of the extra deck, we have 1 fusion monster, which is obviously Red Eyes Dark Dragoon, because why wouldn't you want to run him? He's freaking amazing. And yeah, the rest are links and synchros. So let's get on with the synchros first. You run 1 Fortune Lady Every, level 7, which the archetype has a very easy time going into. And yeah, it's a self-recurring synchro monster, so which is very important as well. And then we have some other level 7s, such as Clearwing Synchro Dragon, because I found it better that you have more negates. The more negates you have, the better you're going to do with this deck. And this is the easiest level 7 negator, well, monster effects. You can also replace him with Dawn Dragster if you feel like negating spells or traps is a bit more important to you. But I prefer monster effect negation here, so that's why I basically run him. And then we have the legendary Black Rose Dragon for nuking everything. And yeah, it's kind of a given why you run him. And then we have the level 8s. First off, we have Crystal Wing. He's essentially an eternal level 8 staple synchro, as well as Borreload Savage Dragon, because if you're playing Link monsters and you have capabilities of making synchros, obviously you run him. And one of the last ones is my personal choice, Stardust Dragon, because I just genuinely, it's my favorite monster of all time, and I always tend to find some spots in the extra deck for him, seeing how he also has a very nice counter trap, which is not a counter trap, but a counter-based trap. It's a normal trap, but it's pretty format-dependent, same as Stardust Dragon, but it's generally good to have, at least in my opinion it is. And then last synchro monster is Blackwing Full Armor Master. It's ridiculously easy to go into him, seeing how you have 3 level 7s essentially, which can special summon themselves, and you have the level 7 synchros. And combined with Blackwing Steam the Cloak, you can very easily get into him, and it's essentially one of the better boss monsters for this deck. That does it for synchros. Now for the links, which we have 7 links remaining. Let's start with the lower ones first. We have the link to Charmer for the Dark attribute. Yeah, it's the Dark is the most common archetype, the most common monster attribute in the game, and being able to steal those kinds of monsters from your opponent in order to further your plays is really a great addition, and you have plenty dark monsters yourself in order to summon him. And then the other link to you'll be running is IP Masquerena, obvious reasons, extension and being essentially a formula synchron for link monsters and gives some protection to the link summon monsters with her. And then, yeah, that's it. Then we have the two Link 3 monsters. First of which is Selene, Queen of the Master Magicians. Again, very obvious reasons why you run her. It's a spellcaster which can revive other spellcasters and can proc further Fortune Lady Water's effect to let you keep drawing. You can also, again, it can be used to further plays, and it gives it makes link climbing easier, essentially. The other Link 3 is Blackluster Soldier, Soldier of Chaos. Again, level 7s, I cannot stress that enough. These are really easy to get on the field with this deck, and having this guy, sorry for not knocking the camera, having these and access to Blackluster Soldier, Soldier of Chaos with the level 7s is really easy. And yeah, you simply cannot pass on this opportunity to run him. And now for the 3 Link 4s, the first one is Access Code Talker, which you can, again, very easily get into thanks to Dark, Selene, and even if you manage to make him with the Link 2s, it's really easy to get to him. His removal effect will not be very often used because the attributes of your links is not very diverse, and you'll most likely get to use his removal effect 3 times total, but that again should be plenty enough. You can use them more than that, but it should be plenty enough to finish off the opponent if he doesn't draw some incredible out to him, which is highly unlikely if you manage to get him on the field. Then the other ones is, the first one is Appaloosa, Bow of the Goddess, which, again, monster effect negates. It's very valuable in that part. And then lastly, we have Mech Knight Crusadia Avramax, which is, again, reasonably easy to make in this deck and can be our real beast to get rid of if you summon him with IP Masquerena as well, which is, again, not an impossible feat to accomplish. And that essentially does it for the extra deck. Now let's move on to the side deck. Very little changes have been made to the side deck, but still enough to make it noteworthy. The first up we have Effect Veiler, because again, monster effect negation is as important as it was before, and will probably be more important in the future. Then we have Ash Blossom to prevent searching from going off. And then here's a personal choice of mine. It's Vanity's Ruler in your side deck, because I often do find myself in a situation where I get locked into synchros with Fortune Lady Calling, but do not have the appropriate levels to go into anything relevant. And I end up with 2 monsters on the field, even more than that, without using up my normal summon. And then normal summoning this thing can actually pose quite a significant hurdle for the opponent to get over. So putting him in on occasion can definitely make this a very tough hurdle for the opponent to get over, and you do not want to pass this up. And yeah, I kind of wish that the archetype would get a decent level 6 synchro, because it is the besides the level 7s, it's the other easiest level to make, and the archetype doesn't. Well, there are some good level 6 synchros, but the archetype doesn't have much leeway in running them. So I would kind of wish that the archetype would take advantage of the fact that they are able to make level 6 synchros and make something great out of that. Okay, and that does it for the main deck monsters when it comes to the side deck. Then we have the engine to summon Masked Hero Dark Law. Again, one-sided Macrocosmos, and a somewhat of a similar effect to Ash Blossom, as in getting rid of the cards from their hand, from the opponent's hand, is again very appreciated. And yeah, it's again, it's very easy to make Dark Law in this deck, so you should pass on it. Then we have Set Rotation and Secret Village of the Spellcasters. If you can manage to get both Future Visions and Secret Village of the Spellcasters online, it will essentially pose a significant hurdle for the opponent to get over, as he will be locked out of spell cards unless he's playing a spellcaster deck as well, and his normal summon monsters will immediately vanish, and unless he can special summon like crazy, it'll be a tough hurdle for him to cross. And not to mention, if you pair it up with Vanity's Ruler, then the opponent will become entirely reliant on trap effects in order to break your board. But again, the archetype has the deck has counters to even that, so yeah, it's pretty consistent, I would say, in terms of generating powerful stun effects. Then we have Called by the Grave to protect yourself from hand traps. Then we have Cross Out Designator, another way to protect yourself from commonly used hand traps or effects in general. Then we have Triple Tactics Talent for, again, it'll always be live and you can always use that extra draw power, maybe snag the opponent's monster, or simply give them a Forceful Sentry effect, which is, again, the most commonly one used in this in decks in general. Then we have Harpy's Feather Duster for massive back row removal, as well as a single copy of Cosmic Cyclone, because again, you can either put this or the Twin Twisters in. I personally choose this one because it focuses on banishing, and banishing is this deck's forte, and you should always consider that as well. And yeah, Twin Twisters can be on occasion a dead card if you don't have discard, or if you're simply discarding one to destroy a single spell or trap, which is kind of a waste in my opinion. I always try to maximize the usage of my cards. So yeah. And then lastly, we have 3 traps to go through. The first one being Time Space Trap Hole, which it's honestly my favorite trap hole card out of all of them, as you will have life points to spare, and this can massively shut down a lot of decks if you manage to time it just right. You will, even with a very harsh life point cost, you will end up crippling a lot of decks if you can time this thing just right, and the duel will be over practically in 1 or 2 more turns if the opponent doesn't have a good counter or doesn't make a good comeback after he got hit with this card. So yeah, this is a really good addition from my point of view. Then we have Starlight Road, which also I honestly really like, as it's very it's a format-based counter to decks where lots of destruction effects are coming from, and it can also give you a free level 8 synchro while on top of that. So yeah, I personally like to run it along with Stardust Dragon. And the last card we have is Mask of Restrict, for obvious reasons, to protect yourself from kaijus. And yeah, it's protection for kaijus should come naturally in all decks, and each deck should have at least 1 Mask of Restrict at their beck and call, unless kaijus become less relevant, which I highly doubt is going to happen. So yeah, anyway, that does it basically for my deck profile. Hope you guys like the little updates I did to this deck to make it more in line with what the current meta and ban list have done with the format of the game. And yeah, I did not prepare any new replays this time, mainly because I didn't have the spare time, because it's getting rather busy in my life with work and all that, and I have some other stuff in otaku related outside of the channel which are currently kicking up. And yeah, maybe I'll share some here's a promise. If we're back here discussing this deck again after the new support drops, I'm definitely preparing some new replays for you 100%. But for now, I thank you all so much for watching this updated deck profile. Stay tuned for more vids, walkthroughs, and updates. Have yourselves a great day, and I'll see you all next time.